Hi, I'm Angela Cavanaugh, the Executive Director of CAI, and I'd like to welcome all of our attendees and thank our partners, the Board of Directors, and the CAI team for today's program. A few housekeeping rules. Today, all participants will be muted. Please type your questions to the question box and be sure to name the panelists that you would like your question directed to. Managers, if you need a certificate, please email Jackie at Jacqueline, Jaclyn, @CAI-NJ.org. And just to note, you must be in attendance for the entire presentation to receive your certificate. I'd now like to welcome Robin Surgeon, our membership manager, to go over some of our member benefits. Welcome, Rob.
Thanks, Ange. Again, my name is Robin and I'm the membership manager for CAI. I'm here to remind you all participating to make sure that you renew your memberships with us. And for those that are not members, to please contact me about joining this great association so you can participate in all of the benefits and programs that we have lined up for 2021. For our homeowner leaders, you have access to our ADR program, which is a cost-effective way to fulfill your association's legal obligation. We want to ensure that you have the best possible board. So we strive to bring you board training, content, and programs like tomorrow's virtual roundtable discussion from 4 to 5 p.m., free for our homeowners and manager members. So please be sure to visit our website, and we'll put the link in the chat for you to register to participate for that tomorrow. We have a lot of exciting things coming up for 2021. The virtual expo has been showcased on our website since October. So please be sure to see our exhibitor videos and be on the lookout come January for our live stream schedule. Our legislative roundtable will also be on Wednesday, January 13th from 12 to 1:30 p.m. This is a program you do not want to miss. It's legislative hot topics discussed in our breakout rooms, and registration for this will be open shortly. So again, be sure to visit our website. And lastly, be sure to register for our community cooking night demo brought to you by the Women's Leadership Network on January 7th at 6 p.m. You're going to cook with our celebrity guest chef, Jennifer Nevins, and make a new meal for you and your family for 4. Deadline to register is December 30th, and the participation is limited, so please be sure to register for this event before the space is closed. So again, if you have any questions or you would like to add any additional board members to your already existing membership, please be sure to contact me directly with the link in the chat. And thank you so much, and have a great and happy, healthy holiday season. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Rob. Joining us today, first we have Derek Kowski. He is the property manager for project manager for National Contractors Incorporated, and today he will be discussing chimney case caps. Welcome, Derek.
Welcome, good afternoon. Thank you for having me today. My name is Derek Krukowski and I am project manager here at National Contractors. National Contractors is the company with over 30 years of experience providing services to the community associations, condominiums, management companies, engineering firms, residential and commercial property managers. We specialize in roofing, siding, chimney caps, decks, windows, gutters and leaders replacement, and service. In my session today, I will explain the chimney chase cover, also known as chimney cap, and why this component plays a very, very important role in protecting the rest of your chimney chase, chimney system, and also the building. Building belongs to the, chimney belongs to the building. Almost every community that have buildings with chimneys have some kind of chimney cap installed. The chimney cap is the first thing that you will see when you stand on the ground and you look up on the top of your chimney. It's installed on the top of your chimney. The chimney cap is usually a piece of metal that is designed to fit over entire chimney top, which is also known as crown, with an opening in the middle for the flue pipe. Chimney cap is not the same as flue cap. Sometimes there's confusion about two things. So chimney cap is designed to fit on the top of the chimney chase to cover the crown, to overlap siding and corners to direct water away from the chimney. And flue cap is designed to sit over top of the flue pipe. So there's two things that we're talking about. And it's worth to point out that flue cup and flue pipe should be replaced only by HVAC licensed contractors. Also, it's worth to point out that chimney cap is really first line of defense, chimney defense against elements like water, snow, ice, and snow that, for example, coming today in a couple hours, we're gonna have a big snowstorm. So it's good to have a good chimney cap installed on the chimney. The main cause of chimney deteriorations and problems with damaged framing in chimney chases we find working in different communities come from the water, and many of them starts with chimney caps, leaking chimney caps. So it's good to have good chimney cap properly installed over the chimney, you know, and it's a peace of mind. So I would like to talk about why do we replace chimney caps. So it usually starts with the visual inspection. You walk around the community, walk around the buildings, and you look up and there's this big rust stain that's coming down from your chimney. That's the first indication that your existing chimney cap probably was made of galvanized metal. And galvanized metal was used to make chimney caps a long time ago, and it was good for a couple of years, but then corroded and failed. You know, so it's good for a couple of years, but then fails. And you know, when something like this happens, when you see that there's a rust on your existing chimney cap, the inspection must be performed by technician to inspect the chimney cap and see what's really is going on. If there is a rust already and corrosion going on the top of your chimney cap, usually right here when the color meets the chimney cap, on the old galvanized chimney caps, this little spot over here will break and the water will be allowed to penetrate into the chimney chase, and then all kinds of trouble can start. Wood framers in your chimney chase can be damaged. So it's very important to notice this thing and perform inspections right away. So what do we do when we find out that chimney cap is on the end of its useful life, it's rusting and its seal is getting broken and the water infiltrating the chimney chase? We can replace chimney caps, and two most common chimney caps that could be installed these days in the communities are made of either aluminum or stainless steel. Aluminum caps are very good caps. They're custom-made caps, and they are less expensive actually than stainless steel caps. And they may be installed with the slope to stop water from pooling on top of the cap. The problem with aluminum chimney caps is that this corner cannot be welded. It's kind of bent together and put together. And this color is very important part because aluminum cap is machine pressed from sheet of aluminum. This could be only about 2 inches high. That could be problematic in some communities, especially in northern part of the state in North Jersey. It could be problematic because you know that there is a lot of snow over there, lots of wind-driven rains, and having this color high enough is crucial for protecting your chimneys, right? So the next chimney cap that we could install is chimney cap made of stainless steel material. This is the one chimney cap, and it's custom made. It never rusts. It has to be properly measured and manufactured in a shop. The biggest advantage of using this chimney cap is the corners are welded together, creating waterproof seal. This will never leak. Also, the collar that sits on top of the chimney cap is additional. It's a separate part that is being welded on top of the chimney cap. So we weld this collar on top of the chimney cap, and we create the unbreakable, rust-free seal that will never leak. And this collar we can make 4, 6, 7, 8 inches up. In some communities, even more than that, depend on what community needs. So it's much better chimney cap. The cost is a little bit, initial cost is a little bit more expensive, but you know, the overall significant savings over the life of the product could be achieved. It's worth to point out that no chimney cap could have any penetrations on top of the chimney caps. Sometimes I see chimney caps in communities that have some spark arresters installed on top of the chimney caps, and contractors come over and drill holes through the caps. This cannot happen. This is big no-no. This will leak, and it cannot be done like this. On stainless steel chimney caps, special stainless steel mounting brackets could be welded on top of it, on top of the chimney cap, and spark arresters or other elements of the HVAC system could be installed on the welding brackets, mounting brackets, never through the top of the chimney cap. So when we talk about chimney caps, I would like to show you how the proper chimney cap should look like. So the proper chimney cap should be properly measured and designed to fit over entire crown of the chimney, which means that the corners should overlap the siding corners and chimney facade. Whatever is on the chimney, if it's siding, shake, wood shake, stucco, whatever there is, the chimney cap must overlap corners and the chimney facade, so it will shed direct water away from the chimney chase. The chimney cap should have proper flange, proper drip cap, proper color, then proper storm color installed and sealed around the flue pipe, and then on top of the flue pipe there's flue cap. So excuse me, my camera is so small, I don't know if you can see it, but this is how proper installation of chimney cap should look like, right? So there's also one more chimney that we see through communities, masonry chimneys. Masonry chimneys are built a little bit different than other chimneys. They're built with brick and stone, and they don't have this type of chimney caps. They have concrete crown chimney caps installed out of concrete, and those concrete crowns tends to crack. If the crack is noticeable, if occurs, you know, it will allow water penetration inside the chimney chase, and will start creating all kinds of issues with the water. So annual inspection should be performed, you know, on any type of chimney caps really, and especially on masonry chimney caps. So to sum everything up, chimney cap protects chimneys from elements. This is how it looks like, okay? And should have proper flange, drip cap, welded corners, and proper color installed. It should fit directly over the chimney top, chimney crown. It should overlap siding, corners, and chimney facade to direct water away from the chimney. Annual inspections are required and you know, and recommended to check what's going on with these parts. If everything is sealed and storm collars are in place and everything is sealed properly, so not water is allowed to the chimney chase. And really, chimney chase, I mean, stainless steel caps are the best on the market. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're peace of mind. They pretty much lifetime. Nothing gonna happen to them. They're not gonna rust. They're not gonna deteriorate. It's just the best product on the market. And the one more thing, chimney caps are usually being replaced as part of the larger projects. Engineering companies usually put chimney caps replacement siding or roofing replacement. It's just because, you know, the price then is like fraction of the bigger project, bigger siding replacement or roofing replacement, but they can be done as a separate project as well. And it's very good to point out that they should be replaced with qualified contractors, because in the middle of the chimney you have this flue pipe that sits there and is connected to the furnace, and furnace belongs to the residents. And you remove this, you have to be very careful not to damage this pipe, not to damage these connections, not to disconnect this from the furnace and damage anything inside. So this should be performed by a qualified contractor who knows how to do it. I hope that was informative. Thank you very much for your time, and I could take some questions if there are any. Thank you.
And you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Derek, do you suggest that both of those pieces are replaced at the same time, or can they be replaced independent of one another?
They can be replaced independent from one another.
Okay. And how often do you recommend an inspection to be done?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
How often do you recommend inspections to be done of the case?
Ideally every year, especially when you have flue pipe like this with the storm collar. The storm collar has a sealer over here, so this should be inspected almost every year to see if the sealer is still intact and in place and protecting this flue pipe from getting water in.
Okay. Thank you very much. An excellent presentation. Thank you, Derek. If there are any other questions from our attendees, please type them into the question box and we'll come back to Derek. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Patrick Dillon. Patrick is the Operations and Accounting Manager at A&R Management. While he has been back in the industry for a few years, his first job in high school and college was in Community Association Management. Patrick holds a CMCA certification and an MBA and oversees the company's accounting and administrative teams. Welcome, Patrick.
Thanks, Angela. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Whoop. You can see my screen now, right?
Yes, very good.
Awesome. So as Angela said, my name's Patrick Dillon, and I'm part of the team at AR Management Company. We manage a number of community associations all across northern New Jersey. While I'm technically our operations and accounting manager, I am involved in all aspects of our business, and I'm here to talk to you today about writing informative newsletters. Now, the person who was originally supposed to do this couldn't make it, so hopefully you guys will go easy on me. But anyway, we can get started. So writing newsletters in community association management is obviously not rocket science, but there's some things that I think are worth sharing today that can be valuable for everyone. So I wanted to start with a quote that I think is super relevant to us in our industry and what we do. So the quote is, "The key to a good relationship is communication." We're successful when we have a good relationship with the boards and residents in our communities. And obviously a good foundation of that good relationship is communication. So that's why I want to focus on kind of communication in our job as property managers, including obviously newsletters. So talking about communications in community association management, I want to think kind of beyond the newsletter, right? So I'm going to be brutally honest, and I hope I don't offend anyone, but personally, I think newsletters are a little bit of a thing of the past. I remember, like Angela said, maybe 15 years ago, when I first got into the industry, I remember writing newsletters and doing them, and I think they were great. But I think now with the proliferation of email and the fact that we're all walking around with computers disguised as phones, right? I'm not sure that newsletters should necessarily be a primary communication tool in our industry. Are they useful in the right context? Of course. Are they a primary mode of communication as they once were? I don't think so. So Thinking beyond the newsletter, we have so many other ways to communicate with owners and residents in our communities. Obviously mailings, right? But we have email, we have text messaging, postings in the community, etc. And all of them really do have a place in our business. And it's really up to us to utilize them in the best way to communicate with our residents. I think it's important to recognize that communication in any community association really is a year-round commitment. An annual or semi-annual newsletter is simply not enough in 2020. We all know that. Each community is different too, but a consistent schedule is really important. So I want to pull out a little kind of marketing and branding quote. I have a little bit of a marketing background as well. This is a quote that I like to use. Consistency plus frequency equals success, right? I think this is so true in branding, but also in communication in community associations. Outside of project updates, a majority of what we share with residents is the same information over and over and over again, right? It's how to pay, don't decorate this, don't park there, remember to clean your dryer vent, pick up after your pet, and so on, right? I think that if you can do these things consistently, the same message over and over consistently, and with some level of frequency, it can lead to success, where that success is measured by people paying attention, right? Whether they actually follow the rules or do what you ask is a different story, but you have to control what you can control, and what you can control is your message this way. So by being consistent and communicating often, it's really important in community association management. Now, the method you choose to communicate is really up to you and your community. Some communities we manage are now electronic only. And even if you're not electronic only, email and posting updates on a resident portal is an awesome service to provide that really complements sending out those mailings and required notices to residents. So speaking of service and how we're providing that, while we're in the service industry, our service is really only as good as our people and our processes, right? So the good news is that communication is something that can be structured, and process really can be put in place. While not all communications are planned, we know the primary things that need to be communicated each year. These are just some of the primary structured communications that I think are essential for the average association each year. As you can see, I did include newsletters in here because I do think they are relevant when used as a complement to your year-round communication plan. Now, thinking beyond those quote-unquote required communications, I listed some things here that we also communicate, which varies by community. Some examples include seasonal tips for residents, such as change your HVAC filters or turn off your water spigots when it gets cold out. Providing communications when projects like paving or roofing are starting, or the timeline and updates and who to contact if there's an issue. Landscaping schedules so residents know when to expect mowing or mulching to take place, for example. Board meeting reminders are obvious, but high-level board meeting highlights we found can also be helpful to keep residents informed if they couldn't attend the meeting. They're even more helpful when someone says they couldn't attend, and you can point to what you've already done to inform them. And lastly, while residents don't really need to tell us that, tell them that a foot of snow is coming, these are really good times to remind residents of snow procedures or parking rules, and to walk carefully to and from their home if they do need to go out. I'll share that we use a combination of tactics, including email and website portals, to communicate with residents beyond just mailings and newsletters. I encourage all of you and all property managers to establish a plan, put it in writing, put a schedule down. It holds you accountable, and really find the right tool or tools to execute it. So with that said, since this is about newsletters, I do want to close with some newsletter best practices and considerations. So the first best practice that I have here is to be consistent, stick to a schedule. By doing so, you'll make sure that you hit the necessary things that you want to hit each year or at certain times of the year. And it gives a little bit of a sense of people getting that regular cadence of information from you. I find it important to include payment info. Maybe that saves a question that you would have gotten, giving them how to make their payment. I think including management contact info is good, because when there is a problem, you do want them to be able to reach out to you and not say they couldn't reach you, etc. Whether they're telling the truth or not, it always ends up coming back to us, right? I think providing a property or a management update about projects that are ongoing, completed, upcoming, things of that nature, I think that's an important thing to include. Seasonal tips, like I mentioned before, sometimes we send those out via email, sometimes we include them in newsletters, just depending on the association. Reminding residents of the most relevant rules. This is a great place to do that in your newsletter. And informing residents where regular communications are published. What if that newsletter is the first place that somebody's actually seen a communication, right? What if you have a new owner and you don't have their email yet, or something to that nature? I think letting them know where they can get their regular communications, how to get to the community website if you have one, things of that nature, great to include in a newsletter. And the last thing is something that we try to do is make sure that we include tenants. While tenants are not your owners and they, maybe not everything is relevant to them, there are things certainly that you would put in a newsletter that is important for a tenant. Remember, that tenant might not get a single crumb of information from the owner, but that tenant is the one that needs to be following the rules to pick up after their pet, not park in reserved parking spots, things of that nature. So we have found that including tenants in our newsletters really is kind of a best practice. And lastly, I kind of want to leave you with a couple considerations about newsletters after those best practices. So first, really think about what is the best timing for your community. Is it spring and fall? Is it summer and winter? Is it all the above, right? You have to figure out kind of what's best for your company, your communities. Can you do it across multiple communities? Is each one unique? Second is, how much information is too much? I find that keeping your newsletter concise will be sure that the most important things are not overlooked. I had a community that wanted to put out a 6-page newsletter the other day, and I kind of cringed a little bit because I could tell you after the first page, people weren't flipping anymore. Maybe 2 pages if we got lucky. So it was really trying to figure out how do we get the most important stuff to the front of that newsletter. And then lastly, I challenge you, how many of you are still thinking about that print newsletter first? Is it maybe better to produce it to be sent as a digital newsletter via a responsive email that you can also print and post or hand out to those that need it? It's just something to think about. What are we thinking of first? Are we thinking print first, digital first? How are people consuming? We have to think of our residents kind of, we're almost marketing to them. We're trying to get them to pay attention to us, to listen to us, right? The same thing that a lot of B2C companies are doing, trying to market to consumers, right? We don't have flashy emails or campaigns to do so, but we need to kind of think, how is that consumer, how is our resident getting the information for us? Can we get it to them in a better way? So those are just a couple of things to consider as we kind of close out talking about newsletters. And I know that wasn't anything crazy, but I want to thank you for listening.
Thank you, Patrick. Question, you did touch on the best timing for newsletter, but if you had to recommend the best, I mean, could you give us a little more specifics on that? And
I have found in our communities that kind of a spring and a fall have been most helpful. That springs, you can combine seasons. Obviously, we tend to do like a spring summer that goes out in the April time frame, and then a fall winter that goes in the September October time frame. It really depends on your seasonal tips and when your meetings are. One thing I didn't mention in there is to include when your next meeting date is, your next board meeting date. I think making sure that that's out in front of that, maybe that can fend off questions that you might be getting at that next meeting. So it's just something to think about there. It's going to be unique for each community.
okay, and how would you encourage and sell the idea of a newsletter to boards that really don't care for newsletters?
So I actually find the opposite to be more challenging. I don't know if it's more challenging, but we have a lot of boards. I mean, as we all know, boards tend to be a little bit older. They're experienced people. They think that newsletters are something that they need. I actually tell boards that newsletters are still relevant, but if you're communicating consistently via email updates, you've already hit most of the things that they need to know. I think the newsletter is more of kind of a catch-all that can become maybe even unnecessary in some communities. So if a board really wants it, they want it included in the contract, sure, you can have it. We can put together a newsletter. It's not hard, because you know what, we've already done most of the work. It's just compiling the stuff that we've been sending out over the past X number of months and putting it together and sending that off, or at least just making it available for residents.
Okay, thank you. Well, I want to thank both of you for today, and thank our attendees. If any of the attendees have think of further questions, please feel free to email me. It's angela@CAI-NJ.org. And thank you both. Great presentation, and have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you
Angela.
very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.